Islam Wars. Islam. How we doing, family? How we doing? Peace and love to you all. Alright. By the way, I'll first start off saying my name is Malik Wali El Bey. Islam. I'm 37 years of age. My location is Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Far as the corporation is concerned, the way we classified in the ancient times is I'm in Washita proper. Washita proper, like Louisiana, something like an upper Louisiana. Before the 13 colonies expanded. And before anybody else was here, this was called Louisiana or Washita. So that's the region I'm in, by the Lake Erie River, by the Shawnee, Cuyahoga River, Iroquois region. Alright? Peace and love, peace and love. Okay, here we go. The date is April 9th, 2021. My nationality, as I said before, is a Washita Moor, Choctaw Chickasaw. On my dad's side, on my mom's side, my mom is French. So she was from some of the Moors who came from France. And settled in the Louisiana area by Bourbon Street and all of that. Most importantly, in this video is for all who are seeking truth. Anyone who is seeking truth or looking for the truth in any way whatsoever, alright? Anyway, this video is for you, okay? With no filter, no emotions, no opinions, and no judgments, alright? You're going to see me looking down at my script a lot because I see the clock. This is like our 49 minutes to record this video before I have to, upload it, take it off, and put a new one on. So I'm going to try to follow this script so I can get all the information in that I would like to get in. This video is for all who are welcome. Everyone is welcome to see this video. Alright. Watch it as many times as you need to. By all means, as many times as you need to. Alright? You gotta watch it 100 times, and by all means, watch it 100 times. Because this is all about betterment of self. Alright? This is part 4 in Know Thyself University. Know Thyself University is the university of self-study. So we're studying ourselves at our own pace, at our own time. Alright? There is no rush. Okay? It's all about understanding thyself and perfecting thyself. Islam. Islam. The topic of this video is how the Moors, falsely called Africans and Indians and Negro, colored, and black, brought our European brothers and sisters into the ancient Moorish order of government through masonry and Rosicrucian and treaty agreements, primarily focusing on the time from 1492 to 1789, or you could say from 1492 to 1865, or even, we might even get to the 1900s, I don't know, we only got 50 minutes, so 49 minutes, so we'll see, okay? So, okay, so without delay, we're going to jump right in it, okay? We're going to jump right in it. Okay. Now remember, I'm doing this without no emotion, no attachment, so certain things I'm going to present, it might not be pleasant to see or pleasant to hear, but I'm just trying to share with my brothers and sisters the truth without no emotion. Islam, that's the key. Islam. All right. I would like to start off. Okay. 1492. And a lot of people were talking about Christopher Columbus sailing on the seas to get to America. But as some didn't know, some used to say that Christopher Columbus was a Moor. You understand what I'm saying? I know some people, it's going to be difficult to conceive that. You understand what I'm saying? But indeed, that is the case. And I got this article right here. This picture right here, look here. It's from the internet. It says Christopher Columbus was black or was dark-skinned. You can find that on the website. Other Moors navigators, Juan Corrido and Pedro Alfonso Nino, who traveled with Columbus, right, to America. Okay, and these were the Moors who were in Europe who helped Columbus travel to America. Okay? So, I would like to start off, okay, with that, and then mention this article that I received, or that I found, I should say more accurately. I found this article from Leo Weiner's book, a European scholar named Leo Weiners, and the book was called Africa and the Discovery of America. And this says, quote, on November 2nd, Columbus decided to send Rodrigo de Xeres and Luis de Torres, who have lived with the Adelantado of Murcia and was a Jew and knew Hebrew and Chaldaic and some Arabic, to see the King of Cuba in order to present the letters and find out all that was necessary. Naturally, a man who knew Arabic and another who knew the language of Guinea, as we have heard before, were especially adapted to hold converse with the kings of the Indies. Alright? So as you can clearly see here, when Columbus wanted to address the kings of the West Indies, he sent interpreters who knew Hebrew, Arabic, Chaldean, because they were Moors. Okay? He knew they wasn't going to go see other European brothers and sisters, or Manchurian, you call them Asians, right? He knew he was going to see Moors, so he brought Moors with him to see the Moors, Islam. And it's very important to understand that. Okay? And, you know, another side note here, I got a picture here of King James. You know what I'm saying? King James was also a Moor. The Virginia colony, the Charter of Virginia. Okay? And I know they don't tell you that King James used to look like that, but in many documents they say that he did. Okay? So it's very important to understand, you know, what the real truth was and what was really going on. Because as I said before, we are one family. Alright? This is the Moorish Empire. The Moorish Empire is the planet. And you have Moors in America, falsely called Indians. You have the Moors in Europe, falsely called, or they're sometimes called Blackamoors. And you have the Moors or Gypsies. Then you have the Moors in Africa, or Alkebulan, falsely called Africans, or Ethiopians. Then you have the Moors in Asia, okay, with Genghis Khan and Attila the Hun, right? These were the Moors of Asia. And then of course you got Babylon with Hammurabi's Code. All right, this is very Hannibal Bay. That's in Carthage. So it's very important to understand the aspect that this is one world empire. Okay? And in this one world empire, we are one family, one spirit. Okay? Because the spirits, not the body, not the body, but the spirit. As the spirit, alright, we express ourselves through the flesh, but not the flesh. Can't be the flesh. Alright? We express ourselves through the flesh. Alright, this is our tool, this is our vehicle, this is our avatar. It is not who we are, nor will it ever be. Alright? Islam. Now, make sure to take deep breath. Continuing on. Okay. Now, as our European brothers and sisters was traveling to America, it's very important to understand, alright, because I'm talking to myself here, we family, alright? It's very to understand that the business that our European brothers and sisters were conducting was in commerce and trade. And since our European brothers and sisters did not have anything to trade with coming from England, because the Europeans was coming from England, and they said on the Statue of Liberty, right, they were not the wealthiest, the nobles. They was bringing in those who were locked up in jail, the convicts, those who didn't have any money, all right? And they call them the poor, stuff like that. No such thing as poor, but those who are just not as well off as others, okay? And a lot of the European brothers and sisters were shipped to America to work in Barbados, to work the wheat there, to work the tobacco there, to work the sugar there, okay? And then later on got into Mexico, and then later on got into Virginia, okay? And it was very important to understand that at that time, all of the European brothers and sisters that traveled to America was in involuntary servitude to England. All right? Or involuntary servitude to Spain. Okay? Queen Isabella. And then later on, under King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. And then later on, you had the Europeans who were in involuntary servitude to France under King Louis XV, who will later on get involved in the colonizing venture. Okay? And it is very important to understand that the Christian Europeans who traveled from England to America were all in indentured servitude for a period of 7 years or maybe longer, based on their contracted service of labor. Okay? Since many European brothers and sisters did not have any finances, the European government would pay for their trip in advance in return for their labor for the next 7 years. When our European brothers and sisters got to America, there was an order put in place by the Moors here, falsely called Indians, from Europe, America, and Africa. Alright? The order was, since the European brothers and sisters were new to America and how America operate, there were Moors from Europe and Africa who were placed as squires or supervisors, alright, to supervise the corporation to help it to function properly. And then there were Moors in America, falsely called Indians, that were placed as supervisors to help aid and assist the European corporation during their stay here. Alright? Now the Moors in America, our job was to teach the European brothers and sisters the science of the government, the science of nature with the zodiac wheel, all right, and teach our European brothers and sisters how to be in harmony with nature, where they could stay. All right, you could stay with this tribe or around this tribe or in this region. All right, we had to designate certain locations. Okay, they couldn't just stay anywhere with anybody because some of our brothers and sisters did not necessarily agree with the corporation and they didn't want that. All right, so we had to respect that. Okay. Now, eventually, as normal, the European brothers and sisters would mix in with the Moors, right? The European women, the European women, the Aboriginal Moors, and this this mixture gave rise to some positions of authority that they could then begin to declare themselves and then begin to speak out openly and have some privileges, some rights because of the mixed ancestry. Okay. Before then, they were not allowed any authority because, as we all know, right, our European brothers and sisters, they said they had no representation in Parliament. So whatever Parliament said, they had to follow. They couldn't argue that. They couldn't fight that. All right, because Parliament was paying their way. They paid for their plane ticket or their boat ticket. So they didn't have any representation. They couldn't say, well, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm not gonna do this. They were like, no, you have to do what we tell you to do. Okay. Thus, what happened was the Moors in America, we could not get our European brothers and sisters out of servitude. We had no authority to do that. That was a contract that they made in Europe. So we can't intrude within that contract. Okay? But what we could do, and that's what we did do, we made an agreement with our European brothers and sisters that was like, hey, if y'all want to be here with us, then you're going to stay on our land. How about this? Okay, we'll give y'all permission to do commerce and trade here, given that you function on certain principles, certain laws. But all these laws and principles, you're not allowed to function here. Okay? Because that's how we do things. Alright? And our European brothers and sisters had to be initiated through Masonry. And Masonry here on this side, and in Europe it was called Rosicrucian. Alright? But it's the same science, same order. Alright, just different names for locations, okay? And this is what happened. And how can we say here? Absolutely. And so this is what happened here, okay? And as we put this order in place, this order that we put in place, but later it would eventually be called, how can you say, Continental Congress. And that Continental Congress grew into the Articles of Association and Articles of Confederation, all right? And then it grew into the Constitution, and then from there, then it turned into the United States, right? It grew into, but it's the same compact, it's the same group, okay? And the order that we put in place, only the Moors of America could create it. Our Moor brothers and sisters from Europe who was here with us, they couldn't create the order because they don't govern this land. Just like the Moors in Africa or Moors in Asia. If they come to America, they can't create this order because they don't govern America. You understand what I'm saying? That's not their job. That's like me trying to go to Kenya, right? And tell the Kenyans, okay, yeah, we're going to do it like this. We're going to eat like this, and then this is what we're going to plant, and then we're going to worship like this. And the Kenyans going to look at me weird, like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You have no authority to do that. And the same thing goes here in America. Our brothers and sisters from Europe or Africa or Asia, they can't come here and tell us what to do and how to govern our land and where we going to stay and how we going to... They have no say-so. They have to go according to what we say. All right? That's balance. That's fair. That's harmony. Everybody has their own place where they can go and do their own thing. Okay? That's fair. Okay? And what was done was, we brought our European brothers and sisters with the Continental Congress. You have this flag right here. the continental flag with the red flag, the white canton, and the green cedar tree of peace. That's what we put in place. All right, that's for the Confederate States. All right, not the Confederate States. I'm sorry. That's for the Union States. You know what I'm saying? Back in 1774, before the American Revolution took place. All right, that's what we put in place. All right. Now we understand that there were some of our European brothers and sisters who was given instructions by the church and the Pope to carry out their instructions. This is very well explained to us when we were putting this order together by George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, right? They was telling us about this and how the Pope had these instructions forced upon them with the Spanish Inquisition, Intercatura Divina, Dum Diversus, Doctrine of Discovery, about how to treat some of the Moors when they got here, or, you know, try to convert them to Christianity and try to create or induce or incite conflicts amongst the natives, amongst the Moors. All right, and unfortunately there was some conflict that happened, you know, some battles that happened, right? But, you know, to bring peace between that's why we brought in this order. You understand what I'm saying? So there wouldn't be no more fighting. Okay? And that's on this side with the masonry. And then on England, you had a brother by the name of Sir Francis Bacon. And Sir Francis Bacon, he was the guiding brother behind the whole colonization order as seen on the Newfoundland stamp. Alright, this man, Francis Bacon, is also the key founder and organizer of the speculative Freemasonry Lodge as we know it today. Okay? Francis Bacon was the head of a society who would use the name William Shakespeare as a pen name to put out certain information while at the same time remaining anonymous. They were backed openly by King James of the Sixth of Scotland, who later became King James the First of Great Britain, England. All right. The society headed by Bacon was none other than the Rosicrucians, and Sir Francis Bacon is no other than the personage known as Christian Rosicrucians. All right. He was the founder of the Rosicrucians. It was this group that put together the Freemasonic Lodge that we see today. Sir Francis Bacon was taught by the Moors, who studied Moor science. Alright? The reason why they had to do it covertly is because they was trying to establish an order against the Catholic Church, against the Spanish Inquisition and all of that. Alright? And anyone who studied that project, that Moor science, they teach people this based on this Moor science, which is the science from 0 to 9, the zodiac wheel, and geometry. And this science is also called Kabbalah in Europe during this time. It is said that Sir Francis Bacon, alias Christian Rosencreuz, traveled to Egypt, Arabia, Fez, and Morocco, and Spain to study the Moor sciences. It was then he received and developed a plan and agenda for the New World Order. And this is a picture here of the brother Sir Francis Bacon and that Newfoundland stamp. Alright? This is very important to understand this truth. We're going to get into the other picture later. It's very important to understand this truth. Alright, about what was going on here. Alright? Very, very, very important. Alright. And this new order that he was trying to put together is called the New Atlantis in his book, or the New World Order, Novus Ordo Seclorum, E Pluribus Unum, that you see on the dollar bill today. Out of many peoples, out of many nations, one world order. Alright, and if I had a dollar bill, I would bring it out right now and try to show you, but I don't. Okay. Now understanding this truth, alright, you gotta understand it was on both sides. King James with Sir Francis Bacon putting in together this Masonic lodge to alter what the church was sending over with his Spanish Inquisition, Intercatera Divina, Doctrine of Discovery. Then you had the Moors in America who were putting together their Freemasonic lodge. Alright, well, Brother Benjamin Banneker. Okay? And this order was isonomy, nature's law, equal rights for all human beings. Okay? And you could say Bembe. And it was Benjamin Banneker, whose true name was Bembe Emmanuel Muali, who laid the foundation for the Universal Apprentice Hall of the Science of Government, the New Jerusalem, as it was called, the federal government system. Its seat is Washington, D.C., or District of Columbia. Columbia was the poetic name of America and was represented in pictures originally as an Aboriginal Moorish woman, sometimes even with a turban or fez called the Liberty Cap. Gradually, she's been represented more and more. It looked like a European woman. Alright? Now with Benjamin Banneker to the right, who not only designed Washington, D.C., but he perfected the science of the federal government that goes along with Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is laid out four square, just like the New Jerusalem in Revelation, and is made to be a scale prototype of New Jerusalem, based on a code of mathematics scaling from 0 to 9 and the zodiac of the number 12 in geometry. Bembe, the master clockmaker as well, made it like a giant astronomical clock. Alright? The aforementioned facts can be seen in the layout of Washington, D.C., looking from above, from a plane. The Moorish flag is a star in the center of a red field. Washington, D.C. has a star in the center of its square perimeter. Thus, Washington, D.C. is like a giant Moorish flag. It also has a compass in the square showing the geometric aspects of Moorish science, otherwise known as masonry. This is the cover page of a book called America's Oldest Secret, The Talisman of the United States, The Street Lines of Washington, D.C. And that's the title of this book right here. Alright, and you can see the Moorish flag, compass, right here, in the square, upside down Moorish flag. Alright, you can see these things, okay, because it's very important to understand that it is the Moors okay, who put together this order. Okay. Now, before, oh, here we go. So here's a picture of Benjamin Banneker, the almanac. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little blurry right there. Another picture of Benjamin Banneker with the almanac. Okay. And you see the ancient phoenix? That's on the dollar bill. And that's our ancient symbol. It's the same thing. Treaty of peace. Tree of great peace. Okay. Now, what they don't mention is, you say, why do the European brothers and sisters come up with that story of slavery and coming 200 million people coming from ships and stuff like that from Africa? And we know that wasn't true. And the truth is, it's because it was the Europeans who were being shipped back and forth from England to Africa to America on a massive scale, not the Moors. Alright? And this is what they don't tell you in school. Now, some of these pictures are going to be a little unpleasant. I must admit that. I don't like it. I don't like looking at it either. Alright? But I'm here to show you the truth so everybody can see what is not being showed to them. Because they can't show it. I wouldn't get upset about the teachers, whether it be in high school, middle school, or college, because they're not allowed to show this information. That's not their job. Alright? It's our job. Our job is to tell the truth. Alright? They'll let a little bit out, little by little by little. Right? They'll hint at it, but they're not allowed to talk about it really. Okay? So I understand that. Alright? And this you got the brother Terrence. You got a European brother right there. That's a Moorish brother. He's paying tribute to him. And this right here, you got a letter from the Moroccan Sultan to King George III of Great Britain, Moulay Suleiman. Alright. So what we have here is you have the Moors who are paying tribute. And here we have here on page in the book titled Diplomatic Relations with the United States and the Barbary Powers from 1776 to 1816, on page 12 it states, on 1786, an American captive in Algiers wrote to Jefferson as follows: the English, French, Dutch, Danes, and Swedes, and I may say all nations, are tributary to them, the Algerians. On page 13 it states